Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in today for episode 41 of the Podwans podcast. I am Char J, joined by my co-host Luke.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hope everyone's doing great today. We are going to be covering season 4, episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10, also known as the Umbara Arc. This is one of the most favorite Clone Wars arcs in the show, and I am so excited to cover it today. Luke, are you as well?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We've got a couple of newbies. One that's not so new to us, but is new to the show. And then we've got a multiple viewer here, with one of our other folks. So but yeah, let's dive into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine.
And we're back. All right. So the first guest for today's show, this is a newbie. This is the first time that he will be appearing on the Podwans podcast and hopefully more in the future. The first guest is PMP's Den of Antiquities, aka Max.
Hey, what's going on, guys? You
How's
nailed
it
it though. You nailed the. I know that's a mouthful, man. I saw it on your face. You were like,
Hey, I got to read plot summaries, so long names aren't a problem for me.
Yeah, you nailed it. What's going on, everybody? I'm happy to be here and talk Star Wars with you guys.
But Max, where can the good people follow you?
So you can follow me at, I don't know if you can see my name tag there, but PMPS_DEN. You guys can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and then PMP's Den of Antiquities on YouTube.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on. Like Char said, hopefully we can get you on for more things
Oh,
in the
definitely.
future.
And I'm also excited to hear your perspective on this arc as well.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so our second guest, I believe this is the first time that she is on the Clone Wars part of the Podwans podcast show. Is that right, Luke?
Yes. I think has she been on a community episode? I'm pretty sure she has.
She might have, but I'm not. But I believe that this is her first time appearing for the Clone Wars rewatch.
Yes. I will say I adore her. Like, she is like one of my favorite people on TikTok. Like, we are Anakin stands together. And she's backstage and she's just laughing her ass off. So I'm just loving this.
Oh, we'll be bringing her in too, and I bet she'll still be laughing. All right,
Yes.
so let's bring in Ms.Eggy.
Can I offer you an egg in this trying time?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my god.
One egg
Thanks
to
so
another.
much for having me, guys. I'm really excited. I am first off shocked at how professional you both sound. Like,
Why?
like-
Is it because we act like a bunch of morons when we're in Discord? Is that what it is?
no. It's because,
Yes.
No, it's
Yeah,
funny because
it might be.
Char, I just like Char, like you being like, I'm excited for this, Luke. Are you excited for this? It's great. I love it. It looks like, yes, I am. And I love this. I think this is great.
Yeah, betcha.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks so much for having me on. Actually, I believe this is my first time on any episode. I don't think I was on any
Yes.
community episodes.
Yes.
So I'm very excited. When Luke asked me to pick some episodes back in 2018, he was like, "Hey, do you want to be on this episode?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was like, he's like, "What episodes do you want to do? Just pick them." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I gotta do Umbara." And I like scroll. I'm like, "Whoa, this is far." And then I had to ask him the date. I think 7 times. I was like,
Hey,
"When's Umbara?"
you know what?
So sorry.
It's funny you say that, Eggy, because literally I had to change the dates of every single one because we switched. Because we were originally on Fridays and then we switched to Thursdays, so it changed all the dates. So I had to change the doc at least 4 times. So I'm glad you asked me every single time.
Thank
So
God.
It's very valid for you to do that. So that's
Thank
fair.
God.
That's fair.
Well, and Luke, you're one of my favorite people ever, of course. And Char.
Am I one of your favorite people? Oh,
yes.
there you go.
Of course.
I was like, you're gonna exclude me?
never.
Char, you don't understand Anakin like me and Eggy do.
The
Okay, but we live in the
Anakin
same region, so back
It's
down.
true.
Yeah,
It's
so
true.
do I. I live in the same region as well. So what's your take? same city. Okay, there.
Well, in the
Fine,
words
you
of
got me
Happy,
there.
in the words of Happy Gilmore, somebody's closer.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
true. It's true.
Yeah.
I gotta move up here, and I'm joking. But yeah, I'm so excited to talk about Umbara. I actually, when I rewatched the episodes, I hadn't watched any Clone Wars in a minute, so it was a great revisit. And you guys can find me on TikTok at Ms.Eggy and on Twitter at Ms.Eggy28. I do. But when you asked us to introduce ourselves earlier, I thought we were recording, so I apologize. I was like, I talk about like Batman and Star Wars, like I'm pitching myself to no one.
I loved it.
So
I
yeah,
loved it.
I talk about Batman and Star Wars mostly. So you guys can find me there. But thanks for having me.
Heck yeah.
Great to have you on here. I'm excited to hear your perspective on the
Yes.
Umbara arc as well.
Yes.
And then our third and final guest. He
is
a returner to the Podwans podcast. I'm not sure the last arc that he was on, but he
a while back.
He's been on the show quite a bit of times, and he's got great perspective on canon, Clone Wars, all different regions of Star Wars.
Not to mention, he is the Podwans podcast trivia, Star Wars trivia champion.
He is. Let's introduce Darth Choco.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, defending champion. How you doing?
Oh man, I was really quick. Like as you were hyping me up, I was like, okay, where's the John Cena John Cena intro?
Yeah.
But I wasn't fast enough.
Oh man, no, but Choco, where can the good people follow you?
Yeah, I'm Darth Choco on TikTok. Darth Choco on YouTube. I just subbed to PMP, so
appreciate
we will
it.
watch
Thank
your
you.
career with great interest. Just like to talk, all things, geeky stuff, but mostly Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of Legends, huge fan of canon, and just like hanging out with all of you guys. I've had all of you except for PMPs on the High Ground, which is my podcast Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. But we will rectify that as well. This is it's just the best community,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not us finding a person to get on everybody else's podcast, it's Choco or Element or somebody else finding somebody. And
Which Choco and Element do have a podcast called Dyad in the Force. It is live every Thursday, Thursday, Saturday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Whoa.
My bad. I was confusing our podcast with theirs. This is not a merger.
Wow. Choco, wait, how do you feel about him taking your thunder on that?
It's all good. I don't want to give people too much stuff so you can't keep track of it. So that's why I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, also I just want to say I appreciate you guys. I feel I love how Luke, you're always promoting a lot of the smaller creators around, and unfortunately I don't have enough time to do that anymore, and I find a lot of amazing mutuals and stuff because of it, so I appreciate it.
No, yeah, definitely. So before we get into the episode, let's look at the chat. Jordy Jedi, thank you for joining. Black Squadron podcast, go follow their podcast. They have a great one. He will actually be on in a couple of weeks talking about Obi-Wan Undercover. Brian with the beard, Brian with the bread, Brian with the beard bread. Then we got Darthman86. Thanks for joining. Chris from Dark Side Divas and Marvelous Divas. Go check out their podcast. They are also doing a Clone Wars rewatch. They're actually a little bit of ahead of us. They're in I think they're finishing up season 5, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we'll always love seeing him in here. Saint Pat, the man behind the banner and everything. We appreciate you for joining. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into Umbara. Question for the panel: what's your favorite clone battalion and or clone trooper? Anybody can answer.
Yeah, I know it's gonna sound basic, but Rex is my go-to. He's just the all-around good boy. I gotta say, I got a lot of love for Hauser, just coming out of left field, and just being the dude, you know. But like this arc really reaffirms why Rex is my dude. Although for the battalions, I have to go with the Star Corps, just because I think they look cool, you know.
No, yeah, definitely feel that. Definitely feel that. Eggy.
So I think my favorite battalion is probably the Wolf Pack. I love
Nice.
Flo, and because he treats his boys right. You know, he loves them.
Those bros.
Flo's bros, and I love Rex so much. I mean, what's not to love? I mean, who doesn't love Rex? Like, how do you? He's just the best. And rewatching this really reminded me of how much I absolutely adore him. But I think my favorite, I love Hunter. I love the Bad Batch so much,
Okay.
and I love Hunter. I just anything, just big dad vibes, and you know, it's so cute, and so I love Hunter for sure. I think he might be my favorite.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
Max.
So Iggy and I actually have a lot of like, I was like, every time she would say something, I was like, oh, that's mine too. Oh, I was freaking out. So I usually go with the 212th just because like that was like, I'm a big Revenge of the Sith fan. Like obviously you see like the giant poster in the background. Like that's kind of what I grew up on was the prequels. So the 212th were just classic for me. And then the 104th, the like the wolf pack and stuff like that. Probably my favorite armor set is wolves. I want to do I do a lot of like 3D printing if you guys follow me and stuff like that. And I want to do if you guys remember from Clone Wars 2003.
Yes.
Obi-Wan has a full
Yes.
clone armor, but he
Yes.
has I want to do that, but with Wolf's armor.
Oh, for
but with
Plo Koon?
but with Plo Koon and have
Nice.
like gray robes
Nice.
instead of the
Oh,
brown.
Nice. That is dope.
Yeah, I want.
Oh, I
It's
love
one of my cosplays that I have planned, but that's gonna take some time.
Hey,
I'm actually working on Plo's Bros t-shirts.
Nice,
Yes.
yo.
yes.
I will definitely grab
Yes.
one of those for
Yes,
sure. I'm
yes.
down.
Max, we're gonna have a conversation later because
Bet.
I've got a goal of mine about a cosplay that I want to do. So, and I might need some armor made.
Let's
No,
go.
it's
I'm
Pancrawl.
down.
So
Heck yeah.
So I might need some like lifts, boots,
Mhm.
but I'm sure we can figure something
Yeah,
out.
we'll
right?
we'll figure something out for sure.
figure something
I'm
out.
down.
Any
Is
mention
it
of
Ponkrell?
2000?
No, nah. Fuck Ponkrell. I don't give a shit. Fuck Ponkrell. This guy is the worst, but I love this freaking art.
Well, Luke, that cosplay you're talking about, you wanted to cosplay him, isn't that right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's a certain somebody that we are going to be seeing probably third episode of a certain show that you call Kenobi. So
Wow, third
yeah.
episode. Man, you've got it all mapped out, huh?
I think we're gonna see him at the end of third episode.
Wow,
That's my
Ooh.
take.
Okay.
That's
I
my
go into
take.
stuff totally blind. I'm like, here we go.
Good
It's
for-
like I
good-
gotta, yeah.
Good for you, Eggy, because you know and we'll get into this later because
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about a whole lot of Kenobi later. But Char, plot
I'm
summary time,
picturing
baby.
Yes Gano.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Lips on Tatooine.
Interesting. Quinlan Voss, maybe. Char, go ahead. Plot
All right.
summary, guy.
The first episode of this arc is season 4, episode 7, Darkness on Umbara. And here is the plot summary. War in the expansion region. As the Separatists tighten their grip over vital but isolated supply routes, the Republic launches a lightning strike into a remote ghost nebula to control the strategic system of Umbara. Republic forces smash through the Separatist blockade in an effort to claim the shadowy world.
Nice job, Char.
1 out of 4.
So as most people know, we usually go through the episode beat by beat, but we're gonna try something new. So basically, we're gonna hit like a little plot points of this episode. Basically, the main thing, the main question that I have in the Clone Wars, we don't see a lot of clones versus sentient beings, as it's usually just clones on droids. What do you think are the emotional repercussions of the clones fighting living beings versus their droid counterparts? Open forum. Anybody want to drop some knowledge? Go right ahead.
I would say it's like quite a bit. Like the repercussions would be like drastically different. I've obviously like never been in war. I've never killed anybody or anything like that, but I can't imagine like the physical toll that some like party would have, like taking another like individual's life, whether they believe it in like their beliefs or not. Like at the end of the day, that person's still like a human being or like a sentient being. And then when you have droids, they're just scrap metal, like they're just program, like nobody, unless you're L3 and you think all the droids are sentient,
Yeah.
it's just scrap metal, so it's like it's a different, like I think the clones definitely have a lot of PTSD because of all their brothers that they lost throughout the Clone Wars, but I think they would have like a whole nother form if they were having to fight, human beings or aliens on like the opposing side.
Oh yeah.
It's also hard because, when they're not in their element, like this is the like who are so the people the beings that they're fighting, are they Umbarians?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Umbarans. Yeah.
Umbarans. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they're in their element. Like they're basically the Empire on Endor, right? Like they're like, we're not from here. Like what's going on? And so they have to go up against the natives of this planet, and like they know this planet. They know how to navigate it, how to utilize it. They're on home field advantage, right? So on the flip side, you have when they're fighting droids, it's like, well, there's no they're droids, like they have no home planet, and also droids are kind of, when you sort of figure out their patterns and their programming, you can kind of navigate around that and fight them a certain way. And with this, like, but people are unpredictable, so that definitely presents a tactical disadvantage to them as well, because now they're going up against sentient beings. And like Max said, there is also the emotional repercussions of like, oh, we get that they're separatists, but we're on their planet, kind of going into their space. And it's definitely, there's a lot of conflicting emotions surrounding that, I'm sure, for them.
Yeah, it's Starship Troopers, like our boys are the invading aliens, and I know it's just an interesting, like this whole arc has a lot of just interesting turnabout where people
Yep.
that you would normally think of as one way are being portrayed as another. But I think the biggest emotional impact probably comes from the decision to make them very humanoid, how that affects the viewers, the kids watching it, because this is very different. Like it's very easy to be like, yeah, we're shooting robots, but I think it was a great move, because this also allowed them to really stretch their legs when it comes to design.
Oh God, yes.
There's a lot where they were constricted by the aesthetics that George had set by things. And when you like watch the behind the scenes and they talk about how they got to get really creative with the technology, like they're laughing because there's no ramps or stairs or anything for these people. There's all these like weird force fields that you get in and they rise up, and they're like, they've evolved past the need for for stairs, unlike Hondo, whose ship is like it's like climbing the ziggurat,
yeah, absolutely. No, but I think the most interesting part about this, especially the first sequence, like you get to see Anakin, Obi-Wan talk, and then you go straight into battle mode. Like this and the Geonosis arc are very close together in like the way that they are shot, because like you get a lot of the shots coming close on like the gunship. It's very much like you're watching a war documentary in a way. What were you guys' thoughts on like the shots in particular in this episode, in this first episode beginning?
It was incredible. Like one of the things that really always hits me, and this especially at the end of Attack of the Clones, is when you have the shots and it's kind of like dark and hazy, and how they are illuminating things as they're flying. Just such cool shots. And then again, stretching legs, where we had how like it's hard, it's weird to call it camera work, but it truly is, because for this show they built sets and then they just filmed inside of the sets. These aren't storyboards. That was one of the big things that they advantages that they push, which makes the show a lot cheaper in the long run. But like when the plant has him and he's shaking around and the camera has that low angle and it's like moving back and forth.
Yes.
The different angles that reveal the spider tank walking through and crushing things, and then the sound design behind that. Oh man, this arc, also it unveiled a lot, because there's a lot of new technology, there's a lot of new techniques used in this arc for the very first time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Eggy or Max, any thoughts?
Yeah, as far as like the how it was shot, my background is in like I didn't tell you guys this, but in video game design, and I do like environments and stuff like that. So I usually look at environments pretty hardcore, and I really, because this is a dark arc, obviously, like this is like the whole thing is like super dark.
Yeah.
And it is super dark, like, in the thing, it's very, but I really I think they nailed like the colors, like the color palette and like the tone.
Yes.
Like it's just like, I think that's like part of the reason why it like slaps, so to speak, is just because like everything is on point. Like the story's good, the music's good, the color palette's good, it's very engaging. And it kind of gives you like this certain like uneasy feel about like watching the whole arc, which I really appreciate.
No, yeah.
Yeah. It, for me, the thing that I think I noticed, like it's shot, like there's even a part where one of the things that I noticed the most about this arc was the sound design. It's like in it God, like when Pong Krell ignites his sabers.
Yes.
And he starts like, slaying all the troopers. It's so, I was just so taken aback by how crisp and clean and impactful and heavy the sound design was. Also, shout out to, I forget, I think it's in the third episode, to the part where the score suddenly sounds like the score from A Few Good Men, and it has like the trumpets.
Yes.
It has like in every 90s military movie, there's like the score is like trumpets, and it's like really emotional, and like it's like they all have the same score, but it's very impactful.
Yeah.
And there's straight up a part, I think it's where Rex is like, he's like talking to them, he's like, we're not robots, we're not machines, we're men, and we don't blah blah blah, and like the trumpets start playing, and I was like, this is so intentional and great. It was really good. But yeah, the environments are gorgeous. I mean, there's a reason why this is one of the most popular arcs in the entire series. And I think it's because it's just like lightning in a bottle. Everything about it just works, and yeah, there's the special emphasis on militaristic approaches to the storytelling, and also how impressive it is that the majority of this arc is like them waging attacks, and every attack feels fresh and new, and nothing feels tired. And I think that's like really cool, and they utilize the environment so well for that. It's so cool.
Real quick, I have to add, because of the trumpets, that stuck out to me as well. Dave Filoni said that he took that straight out of Predator. The end of Predator, where Arnold's kind of like reflecting, he's like,
yep.
yeah, we're taking those trumpets.
We lost a lot of good men.
No, yeah, but like even like talking about the militarization, like I got very much like I think, well, obviously George made the prequels during the Gulf War and the Iraq War and the War on Terror. And I feel like this arc in particular is very much a mirror of that, showing like the clones invading a planet that like they like, showing like how Choco was saying earlier. It makes you uncomfortable because they are fighting they're not fighting the typical droids. They're fighting sentient beings. And we've only ever seen them fight sentient beings in Geonosis. That's it. Like besides that, that's it. But like I got so many vibes because I mean George Lucas used the dog fighting in World War II. I mean, in a lot of the shots of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. A lot of the originals were based on the dogfights in World War II. Do you think that they looked at films like Saving Private Ryan,
Black Hawk Down,
and
for
Black Hawk
sure.
Down,
Yeah, Ridley Scott.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that when they came up with this arc? Do you think that was kind of an inspiration?
Yeah, for sure. They definitely looked at war movies of the 2000s. It's like we don't get war movies are so. I can't remember the last time. I mean, Dunkirk was pretty recent, and that's kind of a traditional sort of war movie with like the focus being just on the event. But oh yeah, Black Hawk Down.
Yes.
The Vietnam, Platoon. And Platoon had to have been a huge influence because it's also about the Americans going into Vietnam and being so displaced, and and not knowing where they are. I think it's really impressive because they could have done an Endor situation where it was just sort of jungle-esque, but they instead kind of went for this eternal night aesthetic.
Yes.
That I thought was very interesting, and how off kilter everyone must have felt, because at a certain point I was like, there hasn't been any daytime. Like it's just like night all the time. And that must be so disorientating for them, because it's like, what time is it? Oh my God, where are we? How long are the days here?
Yeah.
And also just, them just fits the tone perfectly, because it's just this eternal darkness, just like this never-ending slog for these guys. And I think keeping it nighttime the whole time was perfect aesthetically and for the story. But yeah, they definitely looked at war movies. They had to have. I mean, everything from the cinematography to just the subject matter is so war movie all over. It's got war movie all over it.
No, yeah. Choco, Max, your thoughts?
You got it, Choco. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I definitely like. I don't know. This gave me like, if you tried to make Saving Private Ryan for kids, it would be this. It would be this arc. That's why when I was younger, I wouldn't watch this arc. I refused to, because it just made me feel so many things. Now I just like to like marinate in those feels. You know what I mean? Like,
I like to feel pain.
Stop running from your tears.
But no, that exactly what you said, making it feel like it's just an endless night. And then I don't know if they planned all this, but like how that echoes the line at the end where they're like, sooner or later this war is going to end, and he's like, and then what? Like, what would we do then? Like, their life is this eternal night. I don't know. It's just, we just want them to see the day.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because I mean, and also think about it from a Senate standpoint. The whole war, everybody was behind the war because they weren't fighting other sentient beings.
Yeah.
Because the Senate was like, okay, we're fine with it. Like, we're not the separatists are being run, have a droid army. They're not going to use anybody else. Like, I wonder what the Senate had to have thought when they heard that the Umbarans were actually going to fight. Because I mean, that's got to be jarring for the senators, because it's like, this is not how that was supposed to go. You know what I mean?
Without a camera crew, they don't care. They don't know it's there. I mean, they were like Naboo got invaded, and the Trade Federation's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Send a crew or something. Like, bro, like, you're torturing our people. They're in camps right now. Yeah, I don't think they would care.
No, probably not. You're probably right. Max, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked just all the aspects. It really does. I don't know who said it, but like Vietnam, it really does pull a lot from that, where you're out of your element, like the enemy's using tactics that you've never seen before. It gets down to like the nitty gritty, and like, and like kind of skip ahead. They think that like, the enemy's using clones, like their armor and stuff like that to fight and all that. And they're not used. Droids don't do that. Droids don't take armor. I guess they do in the Outpost arc, but those are like the more advanced one. But the basic droids don't do that. So it's like they're kind of just thrown a curveball. And I really like how you kind of have to see Rex kind of pause and rethink how he handles situations throughout the whole arc, you know.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, especially with Ponkrell getting when Anakin gets abruptly like, oh, like I feel like Palpatine was just like, all right, so I need Anakin. And it's like this is the perfect time to do it. And like Ponkrell's like, and I so like here's the part I don't like I even struggle with now. Like is Ponkrell in it the entire time? Does Dooku have any knowledge that Ponkrell is doing any of this on Umbara? Because I feel like in the last episode he reveals his plan, but it's like
I don't
like
know.
It's
I don't
pretty
think
ill-conceived.
No.
yeah.
But he does say I'm on my own side is what he says.
Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
right.
Which is
That's right.
disappointing because I would love to see him as an Inquisitor. That would be horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Because I mean, he does tell Rex that because Rex is like, "You're an agent of Dooku," and then he's like, "Not yet."
No, yeah.
But
that's right.
once he finds out that I let the Umbarans take this, he will make me his new apprentice. So I was like, does he know him, or is he just going to be some force sensitive? You know,
Kind of like how Ventress was in 03.
a little bit.
Revealed herself, and he was like, "Okay, I guess I'll take you on." But
Yeah.
Char, what were your thoughts on this episode?
Man, this is the episode, the arc. Not just the episode, but the whole arc. It just shows you how much we care about the clones. The clones are because when Anakin Skywalker is in charge of the 501st, he's very witty. He's very impromptu with his game plan. But when Pong Krell's like, I go by the book, we will do it my way. It makes the whole entire Legion rethink their plan and their process because Anakin is so used to improvising and doing all of these sneaky, behind the scenes stuff to get the upper hand on the opponents. But every single time they do that, Krell is on their case, being like, "You can't do that. You're disobeying my order. How could you do this?" And
Yeah.
he's threatening people, and he's the ultimate hater of clones.
Yeah.
This is even before his betrayal. I think it was Hardcase that said like he's the Jedi general that has killed the most clones in
Yeah.
battle, or has had the most clones die during battle.
Mhm.
So
He's just straight racist. Like against
Yeah.
clones.
Yeah, he is. For sure.
yeah,
And you
but-
see how the Anakin's his style has rubbed off on them because all of Rex's plans are very impromptu and kind of wacky. Like he's like, we can make it work if we do this super specific thing, like you two go in and blah blah blah. Like there's like kind of this off the cuff like inquisitive off the cuff impromptu sort of approach that Rex has to plans. And that's Anakin. Like that's because he's in charge of Anakin's platoon, and Anakin's just like, "What if we blew it up? We blew all of this up?" And Rex has to be like, "Okay," like So you definitely see Anakin's influence on him and his crew, and how jarring it is when they kind of come into do like when we start talking about Pong. It's God, he's such an interesting character, and the way that this series approaches his character is fascinating to me. I can't wait to talk more about him.
No, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and especially seeing some of Anakin's troops, just watching Krell have to deal with some of the stuff that the 501st would do under Anakin's command. It's just so funny, especially the part where they're taking the hangar and Jesse and Hardcase are piloting the ships. They're like, "Wow, wow, 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 wow!" They're like, "Yeah, I like this."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Fives is like, "Yeah."
Anakin would be
yeah.
like, "Woo!"
And then Krell's like,
Yeah.
"Mm,
Yeah. Pen
okay."
Cross, yeah. So, Char, we're done with episode 7. Let's move over on to episode 8, the
All
general.
right, episode 8, The Last Jedi. I am kidding. It is season 4, episode 8, The General. And here is the plot summary of that episode.
Here comes
Turning
a
the
general.
tide. Turning the tide. As Separatist control over vital but isolated supply routes expands, Republic forces invade a key planet, the darkened world of Umbara. In the midst of helping Obi-Wan Kenobi's battalion conquering the Umbaran capital city, Anakin Skywalker is called away to Coruscant. His battalion is temporarily placed under the command of Jedi General Pon Krell, a shrewd and temperamental leader. Krell's reckless strategy forced Captain Rex to retreat with his platoons in a disastrous defeat.
So in this episode, basically, it's just the struggle. I mean, the basic thing here is the struggle between Rex and his platoon, and him wanting to follow orders with Krell. So here's the question: how does Rex's trust in his own men shine through when breaking orders to send out 2 scouts? And what does this say about the bond the clones shared together?
Well, I think that it really plays because Star Wars is about family, right? Like that's like the whole thing, and I think they did that in a good way. Kind of Rex sees going back quite a few episodes, he sees Cut Laquaid and his family, and he has to rethink how maybe there's more to life than just like taking orders. And I think that seed was planted in him, and then also Anakin, who just kind of does whatever he wants to do. He doesn't take orders, or he improvises on orders. So I think that that plays a lot, and I think Rex really cares so much about his brothers, to almost to the point to where he's like, maybe some orders aren't meant to be like taken out, aren't meant to be followed through, if it means putting my fellow brother in harm's way.
No, yeah, that's a good way to think about
absolutely.
it.
And going off of that too, and you see, because when Krell and Rex have their own little fiasco, and Rex is like, "These are men, not clones," and he genuinely cares about them. That's why we love Rex. It's not just because that he's a soldier and he's in charge of making sure that his soldiers and his comrades are safe. It's the fact that he wants them to be able to be themselves, and to understand that there is more to war than doing this. Like we're not programmed, we're not droids. Exactly what he says to Dogma in the very final episode. It's relieving to see the growth of Rex from that episode on Saleucami where he meets Cut Laquain, as Max said, to now understanding that there is more to a clone than just war. And it's very relieving to see that part of Rex being fleshed out.
No, yeah. Eggy, Choco?
I'm waiting for Choco to go.
You unmuted. That signified.
I know. It's because this mic makes sounds. No, yeah, the development of Rex is because Rex is like I mean, let's be honest, Rex is the clone. Like, he's the clone. He's the one that we get to know the most. He's the one whose development we witness the most, and it's just, God, it's seeing, like, when one of the things that jumped out to me the most was when Krell calls him by his number.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What?" Like he doesn't, like, that hit me really hard. Like, because what's Rex's number? I don't know. his number.
CT 75 67.
67. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ray
yeah.
Palpatine.
Yeah. 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 And he calls him that. Yeah. And Rex is like, huh? What? Like, it goes to show, like, how long it's been since anybody called him that. And so much so that it's like, it honestly, I would love to hear, like, I was thinking, this is like just hit me, like, I would love to hear like a trans person's kind of sort of feeling about this, because to me, like, the numbers really are kind of like dead names, and they like reject them and they adopt their new identities and their new names because their names are how they have identity. Like, that's who they are. And so to kind of just hear so Krell just straight up dead naming all of them constantly, like, it's so like, it's like so jarring and it's so uncomfortable, and Rex is so uncomfortable with it. But he's trying so hard to, like, I was calling these episodes like Rex just being a middle manager. The hell of middle management, because everyone's like, Krell doesn't know what he's doing, and blah blah blah. And Rex is like, okay, okay, like he has to kind of like delegate tasks and be like, no, like we have to trust the big picture, guys. Like we gotta go along, like it's gonna be fine. And then he's like, hey, Krell, like there's some problems. And Krell's like, meh, screw the plebs, I hate them, blah blah blah. And Rex is like, cool, I can't tell them you said that because we'll have a mutiny, but like cool, I guess. So Rex having to delegate between both parties, trying to keep the peace, is like, oof, that's so hard. I've been there, it's hard. And then the guilt he feels, like when he realizes the true intentions of what's been going on. I think this story really cements him being like, I'm putting faith in my brothers first. And his allegiance to blind authority is, I think, really just completely shattered here. Like the rest of the series, he plays nice and he listens to the other Jedi and the other generals, but like, if it's not Anakin, like if someone tells Rex to do something, like I'm fairly certain he like looks at Anakin every time, and Anakin's like, yeah, that's good, and he's like, all right, cool, like like he's kind of like, nope, my faith is in my brothers and in my leaders that care about me. Like I'm not following blind orders anymore because it's getting my brothers killed. And I just like that shift of him prioritizing his brothers over just blind allegiance is so satisfying to watch.
No, yeah. Choco?
Yeah, you just described my life when I was a supervisor
at Circuit
my old
City?
financial.
Oh no.
No, this is in the financial industry. In our company just kept making these like weird garbage decisions, and like, all right, we're gonna make all the employees do this, and you're gonna tell them. I was like, why? That doesn't make any sense. Like, do you want me to put together like a PowerPoint presentation on all the reasons why this ruling is wrong? No, we've decided to at a corporate level. Okay. And I have to go tell them and then like be excited about it so that they'll do it.
Okay, and everyone's just like, this is stupid.
I'm like, I realize it's dumb. I'm sorry. yeah, it's oh my goodness. So I got major flashbacks there, but no, watching Rex's development, because there are things that look black and white on the surface but go so much deeper than that. Like even like this episode unveiled the clone troopers wearing new armor. Like most everyone had these brand new armor except for Rex. His is just his old stuff like taped together. Yes. Some new stuff is like on top of it. He's and does that mean that he's traditional? But just because she's traditional or values those traditions doesn't mean he's by the book. But he's also, and he does reckless things under Anakin, but compared to Anakin, he's the straight man in that relationship. Of Anakin's like, we're just gonna go fly off this cliff, and he's like, we will die if we do that. Like it's really interesting to see all these people put in the exact opposite position of where they normally would, because it's when people get shaken up, it's when change happens that you get to see them grow, get to see what would happen if they can't function kind of on autopilot, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jar, that's it for episode 8, the general. Now on to episode 9.
All right, episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Plan of Descent. All right. Plan of Descent.
The plot summary. Invasion in peril. Republic forces struggle to take Umbara, a hostile planet completely enshrouded in darkness. Jedi General Pon Krell and Captain Rex lead a battalion against a constant attack by a brutal enemy. Krell's aggressive and reckless strategies backfire, killing many clones. Despite the Jedi General's dangerous tactics, Captain Rex's squad successfully captures a critical airbase. This further fuels the mistrust of Krell's leadership, dividing his men.
Good job, Char. You've done really well with these, and I feel like this new way of doing it is going to help you with your with not be so off kilter for these.
You know, it is
segments.
helping. It is helping.
You know, you don't have to talk much. You just go with it.
I
But
talk first.
yeah, pretty much. So like last episode, I mean, Rex does definitely trust his troopers to go out and take out the base, which ends up working in their favor. Now the question for this episode highlights the abilities and unique personalities of the 501st. If the clones were split up and given to a different general at the beginning of their service, would they be as successful? How much of their talent came from Anakin's leadership?
I mean, I think it really depends on like how you define successful, because I think Anakin's like ability to adapt to the situation, as far as like from what we've seen, is like the best of like any Jedi. Like he can adapt to any situation fairly quickly and get out with, I would say most of the time, minor scrapes and bruises for the most part, where you see some other Jedi throughout the Clone Wars kind of struggle in that area. So if it's like adapting to the situation, I would say maybe not, but I do think that there's a lot of other Jedi out there that have different perspectives and different ways that they look at things that could maybe heighten their senses in other areas, like at least the clones in other areas. But I think as far as like adapting to a battle scenario, I think Anakin was probably the best at it, just because he had so much natural talent of being a warrior and thinking on your toes and stuff like that, which you don't see a lot from a lot of the other Jedi in the Clone Wars show.
No, yeah.
I think that there's definitely like first off, Max, it was so funny because like when the question was posed is like, you know, how do you think they fared, like, you know, basically like under Anakin, how different would they be? And when you were like, when it comes to Anakin, it depends on what your definition of like accomplished is. What is accomplished when it comes to Anakin? It was just really funny, but it's true. I think that Anakin's emotionality is best exemplified on a battlefield. Like we see kind of the negative aspects of his very emotional personality in his personal life, and kind of like in his marriage and sort of how it affects him eternally. But the thing about Anakin is that his emotionality, and Anakin Skywalker to me is like, I know, I'm sorry, I got to go full astrology. I don't even know when his birthday is, but he's like such a Scorpio to me. Like he's so Scorpio to me. Like he's like just has a lot of emotions, and like, but if you apply him in the right situation, that like can work to everyone's benefit. And the emotionality he shows in battle is the perfect landscape for him, because I think that the way that he treats his battalion is so different from the way other Jedi treat their battalions, because Anakin has a lot of attachments. And when Anakin meets people, he's like, "Are you my friend? Like, we're friends now." You know, like it's so. I was thinking this arc made me think about how, like, if everything didn't go, you know, freaking, you know, ass up, you know, fucking Jesus Christ, like if everything went the way it was supposed to go, and let's say the Republic won the war, and there was like, you know, oh, what are we going to do with the clones now? Anakin Skywalker would personally like see to it that every one of the clones in his battalion would be relocated to some sort of place or situation that benefited them and made them happy. Like he would be very involved, and like he'd get Rex an apartment and be like, we're gonna go and hang out. Like he would like have a relationship with his clones after the war. He just comes off that way. He really cares about these guys. Yeah. And I think that under his leadership, that's why Rex is so emotionally intelligent. And that's why his clones are so emotionally intelligent, or at least like, you know, as soon as like anything starts becoming kind of suspicious with Krell, you know, the 501st collectively is like, something's wrong. Like he's suspicious. Like, I don't like this. Like it's not because he's new and they don't know him. It's because they're like, something's wrong. Like something's just wrong with this guy because he doesn't care about us, and Anakin cares about us. And it's like, they all know something's fishy, and so does Rex. So like under Anakin's leadership, they have a lot of emotionality. They're very emotionally intelligent, and they just know when something's off. And I think that under a different leader, like they all would have had one really great war careers, but I don't know if they as a battalion would be as close as they are, you know?
Yeah. No, that's and you know what's funny? His official sign is a Scorpio.
Is it? I fucking knew it.
There you go.
He's a Scorpio
Yep,
through and
Scorpio.
through.
And
Scorpio.
Eggy, that was so funny that you mentioned that Anakin would, get Rex an apartment and everything and would go hang out with them.
Well,
I'm thinking, like, what would Plo and his bros, like, would they just be down in the Uskar
They get a
district, just
farm.
chilling at Outlander Club,
They
just
get-
going to,
yeah.
having some death sticks?
They'd get a farm and they'd all like live there together. It'd be like a frat house. It'd be like a frat house. Like he'd be like, Plo Koon would be like, I got us a house, and they'd be like,
they start challenging each other in father racing.
I feel
And then Wolf's like, I bet I could beat you. And then Plo's like, would you like to try and prove your thing?
Choco.
Oh no, I just feel like, okay, Anakin needed to leave the Jedi and just form a private security company with
Yes.
the 501st.
Yes.
And that's like a show I need. I also agree with Plo on a farm, and their farm would be neighbors to Embo's farm, and they would just like do pranks and stuff on Embo all day.
oh my god, that's so funny.
It would be called Skynet. Yeah.
Oh! Except it wouldn't be calamitous. Although Anakin Skywalker would probably be like, "We're going to be your private security company," and then they like blow up the building, and he'd be like, "Oh, sorry."
Oh,
like he's just that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fortunately, my wife is very rich, so
Yeah, there you go.
No, but I agree and disagree to an extent, because a lot of what we see, it's very interesting with clones because of the whole nature versus nurture argument. When in these episodes, when they're sneaking into the airfield, Hard Case, he's like, "Why are you so amped up and trying to shoot things all the time?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just like there was like a leak in my chamber, and I'm all
Yeah,
I'm
he
all
said
weird.
he makes me hyperactive.
Yeah." But that type of thing happens, is part of all of them, right? So even before joining these squads, we do see very different personalities. We see them heading out in different trajectories, and we also get some of these things from like Waxer and Boyle and these other people in other squads. Now, it's the pressure, like the tension that they're put under, that really accelerates that change. And I think that Anakin was a pressure cooker for that sort of thing. So I think they probably grew and reached their separate furthest points faster under Anakin than they would under someone like Obi-Wan, who's going to like when they're in the middle of danger and like you are going to die, like you have to like figure things out really quickly. And I feel like they're less in that situation, or there's more. With Obi-Wan, they're absolutely in the same situation, but they planned for it a little bit more.
Yes. Where Anakin's just like, all right, we're in this situation. We're just going to roll with it.
Yeah. Obi-Wan's like, the worst case scenario is going to be this. And that's absolutely what happens every time. But he said it first, so it's okay.
It's okay.
I think a good example of that is in season 7 when Anakin's just like, "What are you doing?" And he's like dodging all the bullets and stuff like that. And the 212th is like they're sitting there like in cover, and all the 501st are like underneath with all the jetpacks and stuff like that. I think that's a really good representation of the question that you're asking, of how like different generals kind of lead their armies and the ideology behind it.
No, yeah, well, definitely. There's a question later that is definitely is a good one to think about for Jedi generals in particular, and about how each one leads their platoon differently.
Obi-Wan's troops are the least surprised battalion. Like they're like, yep. Like they're not surprised by anything. Like they're like, we planned for this, and the 501st is just like, you know, what if we use fire? It's like, dude, what? No.
Yeah. What if we use this? Come on, it's got to work. But that's it for episode. Episode 9.
Episode 9.
Char, episode 10.
Oh, this is where the fun begins. All right. I'm not talking about the plot, so we're talking about this episode.
Yes.
All right. Season 4, episode 10, Carnage of Krell. While fighting to control the darkened world of Umbara, Anakin Skywalker's battalion is temporarily placed under the command of Jedi General Pon Krell. As Krell's disastrous strategies result in increasing casualties, his men begin to turn against him. Captain Rex struggles to balance loyalty between his commander and his fellow men. Under his watch, Fives and Jesse disobey Krell's order, resulting in their court-martial.
So a little bit of context. Last episode, hard case in Fives and Jesse go to the.
They get a little trigger happy.
Yeah, they get a little trigger happy. They go and take the Umbaran ships, go into and destroy the base that is.
Well, they didn't mean to destroy it.
Yeah, they didn't mean to, but like
they were trying to get attuned to the flying the Umbaran ships so they can use it against them. But
no, yeah, it's pretty tough. They get court-martialed for taking the ships and destroying the main ship to where it was giving them problems. And like, here's the question. So we go through this, like I believe it's the beginning of this arc is where we see the tragedy of the clones figuring out that it's themselves.
Mhm.
That hits so hard because in the beginning of this series, you're like, oh, you're gonna meet these different clones, and like now you think whenever you see a clone, you're like, well, that one's gotta. They all have personalities now, and we see Waxer end up dying from Waxer from the 212th, who had saved the Ryloth, the Twi'lek girl in the Ryloth arc in season 1.
Which is a painting on his helmet as well.
Which is a painting on the helmet. And
which we get to see her again.
Yes.
I believe her name is Nuna.
Yeah, Nuna. Yeah. Nuna. So I mean, like, talk about that a little bit before I get into this question. Like what was your reaction to the I mean, it's probably one of the darkest parts of this entire series, in my opinion. What were your guys' thoughts on that whole scenario happening, and then it finally clicking with Rex of like, this is not good.
Emotional damage.
Yes, to the umpteenth degree.
I as much as I hate that, I love that scene because it's like, you get those like heartstrings being pulled, but it's such like when they're like, oh no, and then like, their clones die, and then he's like, I forget what he says to Rex like right before he dies. But
he was like, we were told Rex asked who told him, and he said we were sent by General Krell.
Yeah, and it's just like you can just see it on his face.
That's the moment it flicks for Rex, like, bro. Yeah, no, I don't like. Everybody was right. I should have been listening to them, and that's when it flicks in his mind, and he's like, "Oh God, this is not okay."
Yeah, it really turns on you. And one thing I wanted to say, also that I meant to mention earlier is, R.I.P. Hardcase.
Yes.
That was
bro. Live to fight another day, and it's just like done. I'm just like what.
What he said before that was pretty cool too. Is like, for the 501st.
Yeah.
For the Republic.
Yeah.
Watch those wrist rockets.
Watch those. Yes. OG Battlefront 2 is the best, and nobody can tell me different. But, it's tough. Eggy, what were your thoughts?
The thing that really stuck out to me is like also like the single tear that goes down his face as he dies is like, oh my God. And the guilt that Rex must be feeling is he's like, everyone told me and I didn't. But again, like, I don't blame Rex for thinking the way he thought, because we'll get to that, because like we'll get to Pon Krell, like, and how interesting he is. But it's like, But also the thing that jumps out to me so much is the fact that like Rex darts out. Like it's full fire. It's like full firing, and he rips his helmet off the second he realizes it. He runs out into the battlefield screaming, like, "No, my God!" Like he's like the absolute desperation of his actions is brutal. And then when the other clones see him running and like waving his, like, it's like he could have easily, like, it's like, I know it's easy because like we all know Rex isn't gonna die, like it's Rex, right? But like dude, it's full fire and you just ran out in the middle of the goddamn field like screeching and begging everyone to stop. And it's like he could have easily been shot down, and he knows it, and he's like, I have to stop this as soon as possible. If I die, I die. It doesn't matter. And man, it's so devastating.
Powerful.
I mean, yeah, so powerful.
Choco?
Yeah. I mean, along with that, so we get hard cases sacrificed in the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it for the 501st. He did it because he knew how many deaths he would prevent for his other people.
Yeah.
We have this moment with Rex. He doesn't care about himself. It's entirely selfless act. And before he's following orders, and the orders, this was the first time where it like was very blatantly across the line. All the other ones could have been argued. They could have been questionable, especially when we have like Obi-Wan call in and be like, okay, we need, like, this depends on you taking this thing. And he's like, yeah, we're just going to march right up the front door. Like, that's a bad idea. We don't have time for anything else. And there are certain cases, like that. It's where we can't land until you guys do this thing, and so on and so forth. But they have no problem dying in this war. They really don't. They just want their deaths to mean something. They want their lives to mean something. And having this arc just like sit there with the clones, and be mostly devoid of Jedi is just really fascinating, and how we kind of get to that,
No, yeah, absolutely.
My my headcanon is that Waxer died of a broken heart.
Oh God. But so
possible.
Yeah, certainly possible. So the ending of this arc begs the question of actions and consequences. Many of the choices the clones had to make were overshadowed with the threat of getting in trouble. If you were Rex, if you were in Rex's shoes, would you have turned on Krell sooner?
See, this is the question though. Like, this is like why this is so difficult, because the way that Pong Krell is presented in this arc is so interesting, because we've never seen this happen before. Not and I mean, I'm sure at some point in something like this is like something similar has happened, but like in the Clone Wars, this is such a foreign concept. Pong Krell is a Jedi general.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Rex trust him? Like, he's like, yeah, no, like, he knows what he's doing. It's okay. And also the show sets up Krell, like the way that episode 1 ends, you think like, oh, Krell's just a hard ass. And like by the end of the arc, like, we're gonna learn the meaning. The real war was the friends we made along the way. Like it's set up in a way that makes you think that that's where this is going, and that like, oh, Krell's just a hard ass, and he's gonna have his heart warmed by the 501st because these are our good old boys, and blah 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 blah, whatever. And Filoni and the writing team pulls that, and they pull that, and they pull that until by the end, I'd say most people by the end of episode 2 are like, no, something's wrong. Like, that's not how this is gonna go. But the end of episode 1 really tees it up to make you think that like, oh, Krell will come around. It's going to be okay. He'll come around. And it's like, and then when he doesn't, and you see a Jedi Knight turn on everyone, it's so jarring, and you don't expect it,
Yeah.
And so with Rex, I don't blame him for going along. I understand his perspective because he's like, no, it's the Jedi. Like, yeah, I mean, every Jedi is different, and I like some more than I like others, or whatever. But like, no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then, but I do think that if I was Rex, I think I would have turned a little earlier. I think I don't know. I'm like, anytime my biggest thing is like anytime anything's unfair, like I get really uppity. Like I'm like, that's not fair. Like I get like, I'm very like tuned to like personal injustice and the injustice being shown to my friends. So if all my guys were talking to me and they're like, no, we don't like this guy, I think I would have come around a little sooner, but I don't blame Rex. He had he's like, no, everything tells me that this is fine, and then it's like until it's not fine, and everything's terrible.
Yep. Either one, anybody else? Would you have turned sooner?
I mean, I think I would probably be, if I had to pick, I'd be somewhere in between kind of like Fives and Rex, because Fives like kind of was like, hey man, this is wrong. Like we need to do something about it. Like, he's like that constant like reminder to Rex, because Rex is like, hey, like let's play this out. He might have a weird way of doing things, but let's just see where it goes. And I would not. I'm kind of like Iggy is like when you when there is like injustice or something like feels wrong, like I'm very quick to be like, oh well, screw that, like I'm not doing that, like get out of here. So like that's why I say I'm kind of somewhere in between. Kind of would toe the line between somewhere between Fives and Rex. I don't think in that scenario either of them are wrong, and like Fives kind of wants to do something immediately, and Rex is like, hey, hold up, I see kind of both sides of the kind of the spectrum. So
yeah, Choco.
It's hard because I just could never see myself in a position where I would be Rex. Like I feel like I would be Fives of like people are telling me to do this thing, and I'm like,
I don't
gonna do it. Although I would say I would probably be selfish and just have defected by myself. So like, screw this. I ain't doing it, man. It really does make, like I said, though, it does make sense, how much they went along with it. It's one of my favorite things about Star Wars, because Star Wars is at its core about justice. It's about social justice, really. Because you can tell who's gonna win or lose, or who's the good guy or bad guy based off of, do they care about people that would be perceived as beneath them? How do they care about little people and droids and stuff like that? And that's the determining factor. And I can't say if I was in the Star Wars universe, I would immediately know that, but I'd be like, yeah, he doesn't treat us with respect or care about us at all. Like,
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because I mean he is between a rock and a hard place this entire arc, but he finally makes the right decision, and I think it's awesome that Dogma is the one that kills Pankro. Like I think that's amazing.
And are we not going to acknowledge one of the, I would, in my opinion, the most badass scene in all of Clone Wars? That 5 seconds of them marching up to the tower with the score.
Oh yes,
and Rex putting on his helmet.
Yes, I love that. I love it. And I mean, build up. Yeah, the build up, and then like Krell going ham is great.
Also,
Krell's voice actor.
Oh, I was about to say. Like, who does his voice? I meant to look it up and I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's incredible.
He was you were just playing Arkham Knight, right? He's Lucius.
Yeah.
Oh, he is Lucius Fox.
Voice actor is Dave Fennoy.
Oh, nice.
There's Lucius Fox in there.
That does make sense, because I was like, he sounds kind of familiar. Like, yeah, because Arkham Knight, he's like, hello, Mr. Wayne. And then Bruce is like, can you make me this thing? And he's like, sure, I got all the time in the world, you asshole. Fine, here's your ship. It's really funny. I like Lucius in the game. but yeah, he's
I'll
also
just keep
like,
running your company for
yeah,
you. Can I get a raise or something?
yeah.
Like,
Bruce is like, find this for me, and he's like, okay, it's gonna take me a minute, you billionaire dickhead. Like, anyway, but also, what my other favorite thing is, like, what the hell was Krell's plan? Like, he was like, I'll just kill all of them. That was honestly his plan. He's like, I'm just gonna kill all of you. Like, I'm just gonna just kill all the clones ever on this planet. And I'm like, dude, like, which also like just shows his hubris, and also shows like, to like, Brandon, I think you and Pep talk about this all the time, how like the dark side makes you stupid, and and he's like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm just gonna do this, and it's like, dude, no, like, they're gonna get you, you idiot.
Well, Krell takes it. I'll go first. So the idea that clones are all disposable, Krell takes that idea and puts it tenfold.
I think though his plan is interesting to me because it mimics the Matthew Stover Revenge of the Sith novelization Dooku's plan, just on the opposite side of like, all right, then they'll come and they'll take me in, and then I'll defect, and then they're going to give me my own army and 72 virgins, and you're like,
yeah, pretty much,
bro, this is not going to go the way you think.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. But so that is the end of the arc. Got a couple of questions as an overall arc. Krell says that he does things by the book. This serves as a direct correlation to Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are notorious for doing things their way. So another Jedi that is very by the book is also Luminara, is known for following the code. Why are they perceived as being different, Luminara and Pong Krell, in that aspect?
Like, what's different between the two of them?
Between the two Jedi, of how because they both go by the book, but Pong Krell, like, what's the difference between Luminara's by the book and Pong Krell's by the book?
Can you imagine being Pong Krell's Padawan?
Oh.
What? You're making me jump up to, like, you're on Kashyyyk. You two are on a mission to Kashyyyk, and you have to jump a huge tree, and you can't make it, and he's already at the top. He's like, you can get up here. Get up here. And it's just like, what the hell?
For me, when you say by the book, my mind actually goes to Mace first, to Mace Windu first. And when you watch the very first episode, you could see them being similar. Like, I feel like this is how Mace Windu would be on the battlefield. But if you go back to season 1 and you see when
Ryloth.
The Ryloth arc, and then you see, how he saves those troopers who are falling inside of the ship thing, and like just takes down everyone and gently sets them down. You see how he interacts with the separatists and stuff, and you see how he so by the book, like, can mean a couple of different things. Like, it means, like, I mean, not a couple of different things. It means by the book. There's a lot of other stuff that goes separate from the book. Like, you can be by the book and you can hate everyone, and you can make everyone hate you and be by the book. You could be by the book and like make unpopular decisions, but you're doing it because of this reason, and you can be comfortable and secure in that. And I think that's the difference. Like,
gotcha.
Or you could use the book as a scapegoat to be a really crappy person,
aka Pong Krell. Fuck Pong Krell.
Yeah, I was more thinking about someone that recently reviewed Queen's Hope and then held up a book to hide his bigotry behind.
Oh God!
That's a whole, that's a whole separate thing.
No. Yeah, we don't support people like that. Sorry. But Eggy, Max, your guys' thoughts on Luminara's way of saying of leading in Pong Krell's, like, by the book, I guess I should say.
Well, I think it's also a matter of like perspective. Like, you get Obi-Wan saying like everything from like a certain point of view. Every Jedi has a certain point of view of what the book is. And I think the difference kind of between Pong Krell and Luminara is I think Luminara is more like selfless, and Pong Krell kind of is like an elitist. He has a chip on his shoulder, which I think you could even make the argue that Mace Windu also kind of has that more like elitism in him. But he also has selfless. He's not like Pong Krell and that. But I think there are some Jedi that were by the book that were like, I go by the book. I have the Force. I'm powerful. Like, I'm better than you. And I think Pong Krell is like the perfect example of just being like, you're nothing to me because you can't match my power like in the slightest.
No, yeah. Eggy?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, to Max's point, like I immediately thought of like the scene in when they're talking about when Rex is trying to justify or defend Krell's plan, and he's like, oh, it's not the same as, it's like he's going to be different from Anakin, and the troopers say, yeah, but when Commander Skywalker hatches a plan, he's out there with us, leading with us. He's the first one out there. Krell just hangs back. And I imagine that a lot of the other Jedi that are by the book, like Luminara and Mace, maybe they're also, you can be by the book and they would be by the book, but they'd also be out there with the men. Like they're out there, like with the leveling the playing field and being like, I'm here with you. And it's like, also that's what inspires confidence in a leader is if they're willing to put themselves out there with you, and it's like, and by the book doesn't necessarily like, when Krell says it, he kind of gives it this negative lil, in the mind of the viewer. But it's like, I don't think that's fair because like as good of a leader as Anakin is, that emotionality can still get in the way because like if you're in the battlefield, like you can't go back for everybody all the time. You kind of have to kind of set your emotions aside and get to the task at hand. And I think Mace is really good at that. And Luminara also is like really good at that. And, and it makes me think of how, just talking about Mace, like I think about how in like the last season, I don't remember what episode, but it's they're fighting. He's with Obi-Wan and and he says, get the men out of here. Like he's staying. Like he's like, I'll stay. Get the men out. Like get them out. Get them to safety. And it really shows that like you can be by the book. You can be kind of straight laced and kind of like we do things a certain way, but also
be compassionate.
Be compassionate. Yeah, exactly, and prioritize life. So I think that I would much rather be doing things by the book with Luminara and Mace than I would with Krell.
So I you saying that makes me want to add one more thing because just like you said, it's that selfless nature of like I will lay down my life for these people, and we do see that in Mace, and like in Luminara, it's almost like she's like everyone is equal. Therefore, no one matters.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, unfortunately,
type thing. Which which she very much includes herself in that. She would absolutely sacrifice herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes if it ends up in bad circumstances, but Pong Krell would never. He would never. He would be like, I will burn this entire planet to the ground and smile.
Just to spite you. Yeah, when Barriss and Ahsoka are buried and after 5 seconds Luminara is like they're with the Force and Anakin's like digging them out. He's like, will you fucking help me, you idiot? And she's just like, no, they're gone. They're gone, Anakin. And he's like screaming at her. And it's like, there can definitely be like some negative aspect. Yeah, but at least she includes herself in that. Krell is like, I'm at the top and all of you are at the bottom,
Pretty
like,
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I would just say that it's pretty easy. The difference between Luminara and Pong Krell is that one has malicious intent, and it's pretty easy if you can take a guess who has it or not.
No, yeah, absolutely. Chart. That's the end of the discussion about the arc. Let's get into your 3 interesting facts.
All right. Three interesting facts about a certain Clone Wars arc that you didn't know about until now. Part 23, the Umbara Arc edition. Fact 1, blink and you'll miss them. During the plot summary of the Darkness on Umbara episode, you can briefly see Barriss Offee and Ahsoka Tano in the space battle over Umbara. Fact 2, the Basilisk Jedi. As you might know, Pon Krell was not the first Basilisk Jedi Master designed for the series. For the second season of the Clone Wars, artwork exists from Killian Plunkett of Master Plun Keel, a character who was ultimately not seen in the show. Fact 3, Sergeant Oppo's design. Sergeant Oppo's name derives from the clone commander that accompanies Anakin Skywalker on the march to the Jedi Temple during Order 66 as seen in Episode 3. This is the same character earlier in the timeline prior to the promotion to Commander. The arrow shape on his helmet is a nod to the character Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender, a show series supervising director Dave Filoni previously worked on. And there you have it. Those are the 3 interesting facts about the Umbara arc.
There you go. And now it's time for the ranking of the episode. Basically bad, a Youngling bad, Padawan okay, Jedi Knight good, Jedi Master great, Grandmaster Chef kiss. Dang it, we lost Eggy. We'll get her back though, I guarantee it. Max, you being the newbie, what would you rank this episode?
I mean, it's pretty easy. Chef's kiss. I mean,
Yeah,
it's great. You know, like
Yeah.
it's an easy one for me.
yeah. Eggy, what's your ranking?
Sorry, I cut out right as you were saying the rankings. You said what were the rank?
Youngling bad, Padawan okay, Jedi Knight good, Jedi Master great, Grandmaster Chef's kiss.
Ooh, I mean, I'm somewhere in between like Chef's kiss and like, you know, and what was it like Grandmaster is great.
So Jedi Master is great, Grandmaster is Chef's kiss.
Okay. I'm somewhere between Jedi Master and Grandmaster. I think because like this is basic, and this is me. Just I'm the type of person like has to find something constructive, some sort of constructive criticism with everything, just because like that's my brain. But like I do think that this could have probably been 3 episodes. Like it didn't really need to be 4. Like there's a lot of repetitive. It's like it always feels fresh and exciting, but there is some repetitiveness. Like it is just like 4 episodes of everyone being like, Rex, this guy is sus, and Rex going, no, you know, and it just kind of does that over and over again. So I do think that like, and it's always engaging and interesting and compelling, but like when I was thinking about what happens in each episode, I got some episodes mixed up. Like I was like, wait, does that happen episode 3 or episode 2 or 1 or wait, like I was having trouble placing events. So I do think that this probably could have been 3 episodes, but I mean, this is one of the most beloved arcs for a reason. It's so good and it's perfect. I mean, it's great. And yeah, so definitely I give it an A.
Okay.
Instead of an A plus, an A. Yeah.
Yeah, Jedi Master.
Okay.
Choco.
Eggy's too cool to use your ranking system.
I know.
I just
Yeah.
got
She is. Yeah,
I just got
she's like,
confused.
screw this. I don't care about your rankings,
No.
Luke. I'm giving it an A. Not an A plus, an A. I don't care.
It's like me at Starbucks when I can't remember the sizes. The big one.
Grande. Are you
Yeah.
talking about grande or super size?
To be fair, the sizes make no sense because grande means large in Italian, but it's medium. It makes no sense. I don't blame you.
For me, this episode. All right, so I'm one of those people that I believe that the best part of Star Wars is the books, and I've just read gobs and gobs of them, especially in the expanded universe. So for me, like I've had my fill of like the Skywalker stuff.
Yes.
You know, so I thrive whenever we have stories that make Star Wars either broader or deeper. Either we dive deep into the well of the Force and like you just give me some mind-bending lore that's just gonna like make me cry, or we branch out and we tell other stories not related to any of the stuff we know, or in new places or in new formats. This just absolutely this absolutely like gave us that. We got a lot more depth on our favorite troopers, and we got them in an interesting setting and a role reversal that I don't know, just spoke volumes. And that's why, when you first started this podcast and we're like, we're looking for people, I was also one of those people back in 2014 who said Umbara Arc. Absolutely, Umbara. And I was like, can I be on an episode earlier than that then? Because
I think that's exactly what happened. Oh man. That's
so yeah,
awesome.
I'm gonna give it Grandmaster. I'm gonna go Grandmaster. I'm gonna go Chef's Kiss.
Okay.
And I need more Umbarans. We have the one that's like standing beside Palpatine
Yes.
in episode 3.
And she has some background in Vader, the most recent Vader.
No, she's
comic
badass.
She's not a pushover, bro.
And there's an Umbaran that's in Clone Wars, but I think the name is like me something. I'm forgetting but there was an Umbaran without space helmet and everything in Clone Wars. So,
Char, what is your ranking?
Well, so you know how the Grandmaster is a chef's kiss. I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna call it Dexter Jetster's Nerf Burgers.
Okay.
What do you know?
What do you know?
I also have to shout out Orla Jareni.
Yeah, Orla Jareni. Oh, yeah, Orla Jareni's an Umbaran as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you know?
I will give it a Grandmaster. It is one of the best arcs to if you want to get somebody into it, get them into the Umbara arc. Like it's interesting. It's interesting. Real quick, let's get into some Star Wars news. Okay, so it was released that Ewan and Hayden decided to dive deep into the knowledge of Star Wars now.
Mhm.
Ewan watched the 9 films, but Hayden went farther. He watched the entire Clone Wars and also Rebels. My
King
question,
shit.
my question to all of you: what this does for his character as Vader, and now he has reference of what is going to happen later down the line, and also what has happened in the Clone Wars. What are your thoughts of Hayden specifically going deep diving into the Clone Wars and Rebels?
Dude, that's why he's the GOAT, man.
Yes.
Like straight up, like there's not many actors that would go through and because Clone Wars is it's extensive, if especially I know he likes Star Wars, but like if you're just a kind of a casual person watching all that and then going and watching, I think Rebels is like 5 seasons,
4 seasons. We'll be tackling that here in a couple of months, probably towards the end of August. We'll be getting this Rebels rewatch.
That's a lot. That's some dedication, so nothing but respect, honestly.
No, yeah.
I call partial BS because he's like, I did this for research. Like, no, you enjoyed every minute of it.
This is where the fun begins.
It was 3 a.m. Your wife's like, hey, you need to get to bed. And he's like, I can't, honey, I'm doing research.
I'm watching more. And I mean, he's no, go ahead, Choco.
It does make me really happy though, because I think there are some differences between Matt Lanter's Anakin and Hayden Christensen's from the film, and I think if he can think about that the way, because he also studied James Earl Jones and his speaking patterns and things like that, when he was doing Anakin in the first place. So the more knowledge he has, the more impact he has. That just helps him get into the mind of the character more. We can have him and Obi-Wan talking, but like from Hayden's perspective, if you hadn't watched it, Ahsoka never existed.
Yes.
But now we can have them meet up, and he's acting knowing that he also lost his Padawan, and that's got to add some other stuff too. I just think there's a lot more depth. I like.
No, yeah, absolutely. Eggy,
I can just Oh, go ahead, Eggy.
Oh, thank you. No, I read that and I was like, it's just like Hayden, like I just love Hayden so much. He didn't have to fucking do this. Like he really didn't have to. Just his commitment to coming back to this and just him coming back at all, is just such a it's such a moment for celebration. I really hope he watched it with his daughter because his daughter's like I think like 6 or 7, I think. And so she's like the perfect age for that. He's probably like, that's me. And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, no, that's my character. Like, I like imagining him explaining to her.
He's
like,
better. He's got better line delivering dad. And then it's like, I had George Lucas. That's not my fault.
yeah, he's like, look, you read that dialogue. Like, you make that work. But I think that it also is, I think the thing that really cements how we as a fandom feel about Vader now versus how we felt about him before we had the Clone Wars and Rebels and even the prequels is that Vader is such an interesting character because the metamorphosis that he's gone through but also remaining the same because like when Vader was introduced, he was the bad guy. You're like, okay, bad guy, cool.
Mhm.
He's kind of a robot, all right, and that's his kid, and he's sad about it. Cool. And I mean, not that like the original trilogy doesn't deliver on the emotionality of that. It does. I cry every time Vader dies, but the way we view him now is so different because
Yes.
the weight that Darth Vader is carrying all the time, every waking moment of his life is of his miserable life is so much more pronounced now because now Hayden, by watching all of this, understands everything that Vader has lost. It's even more than he originally thought. And he's like, oh, I didn't just lose my wife and my kid, because he only thinks there's one, right? He's like, I lost my Padawan, I lost the clones, I lost like everything has been taken from me. And just like the thing that always gets me is just the knowledge. Ugh, God, it's just like, and every time I think about it, it just makes me like, it just makes me so uncomfortable. I don't know why, but like the idea that his like, just even him being alive is not voluntary. Like the suit breathes for him.
Oh,
And it's
God,
like,
yes.
it's so that like, I don't know. I have to like do some like internal sort of analysis on myself because that to me is so creepy and so disturbing.
You would hate the first like 15 minutes of Lords of the Sith because it's literally just him interflecting about how the needles of the helmet like puncture his head and like how he uses that to tune himself into the dark side. Like it's insanity.
Well, the suit, yeah, like it's like Palpatine made it to hurt him. It's painful to be alive. And so like just like I think that's going to bring so much more to the physicality of Hayden's performance because it's just going to be like because and even if you don't see it outright, like me as the viewer is going to watch Hayden's performance and know that he knows everything that's happened. And just like, I don't know, like that just by itself will give it more weight because it's not just like, oh, okay, I'm back in the costume. Cool. It's like, oh, a lot's happened and it's all been terrible.
No, yeah. Char, what's your take?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So I'm just imagining Hayden Christensen watching the Mortis arc and seeing the son give him the vision, and he's just like, I was like, but yeah, the fact that he's diving so far into the character, not even just his own, but the animated one that came after him, it's relieving to see the dedication and the time that he's putting into the Vader and the Anakin that we're going to be seeing in Kenobi. And I'm just, oh man, I'm at a loss for words because we're a month away. We're a month away from seeing this show, and we're going to be seeing Hayden as Darth Vader, probably most likely as Anakin Skywalker as well.
Yes.
And just seeing Rebels Anakin too from that hologram of when Ahsoka was showing the Phoenix Squadron about who her former master was. Yeah. And I bet that he's feeling the same emotion that we had when we were watching those episodes. So I'm excited to see how he's able to implement those parts of that character into the Kenobi show and
No.
every show that he will appear in
Going
afterwards.
forward.
So Ahsoka, who will most likely we're going to be seeing him in Ahsoka. And I'm not sure what other show we'll be seeing him in, but there's going to be a few moments we're going to be seeing him, and it's going to be great knowing that he did his homework.
No, yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. It gives him more weight. It gives him more direction. It gives him things to think about when he is acting out, when he is acting these scenes. Deborah Chow is probably picking his brain, or he's probably picking her brain because I'm sure she's watched it. Like, it's gonna be fantastic. The last thing we will talk about, because we are running a little bit long, is this beauty right here. My God, you cannot tell me that doesn't get you. If this doesn't get you excited, I don't know you're alive.
I thought this was fan art when I first saw it, and I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like, oh, the fans are so creative. And then I found out it was the official artwork, and I was like, what?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
This is oh my God. Like, this is licensed. Like, I get
God.
oh man. It looks absolutely, it's like this is like the epitome of, the Lucasfilm knows what the fans want, and don't get me wrong, I don't want this show to be 6 episodes of like Obi-Wan and Vader. Like that's not like together. What I mean is, like, I want interesting character work for Obi-Wan by himself. I want to see other characters. I'm very excited. I'm like weirdly excited to see Joel Edgerton back as Lars. I don't know. I like Joel Edgerton as an actor, and I was like, oh, he's Lars. I'm excited to kind of see that, and I'm excited to see new stuff. Like, I'm excited to see new stuff. I want new stuff too, but like, I can't wait to see this too. This like hype. My God, the hype.
Max, your thoughts?
I mean, dude, it's just seeing them back together, like on screen again. Because like I grew up with the prequels and seeing like how much like they did get like a lot of hate, during the prequel era, and it's just there's something so wholesome about like everybody that grew up with the prequels, and like it shows that there's like more people who like really loved the prequels and really loved how they portrayed both of their roles, because they're just getting so much support now. Like Hayden's like everybody's like crazy about Hayden coming back, and of course everybody loves Ewan as Obi-Wan. So it's just, man, I mean, this art is extremely amazing, and I'm super hyped for it. And I just like, it's just, there's something super wholesome about like just the love that they're like the fandom is giving to them.
I literally, and if y'all have seen, if y'all have seen the first trailer and our reaction to it, like literally, I wasn't as bad in tears when I saw this on Twitter, but I did tear up because like this is my Star Wars. Like, this is what I grew up with, and to see these two guys like get another chance, another crack at these characters. And I mean, Choco was a little bit. He's a little older than me and Char, but like he remembers when it wasn't cool to like the prequels. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Same with Eggy.
Yeah.
Choco, your thoughts on this art and like just the promotion. Like, what does this do for you?
Well, I mean, it's exactly like you said. This art is Star Wars. I grew up, there was the original trilogy.
Yes.
And this piece of garbage that everyone hates, and like no one's ever going to like it, and the story is bad, and who cares about politics and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I like it. Like,
yeah.
I love it, But it was always very two separate things. You're a Star Wars fan or you're a prequels fan, right?
Yeah.
You can't be both. This image is both. This image is Darth Vader. We even have a little red tint to the eyepieces, like we saw in A New Hope. Although his paint job is a lot better. That mask hadn't been buffed yet.
Less fingerprints. Fingerprints.
Well, I think it's funny because what Element says. It's funny because that's the same Vader helmet from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So I mean, how are they going to incorporate that? Because it's 5 years before Rebels, his appearance in Rebels, and it's just gonna. Yeah, Choco, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine. I just love how it's blended, and now it is Star Wars.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing is this marriage, this
Yes.
beautiful thing. And hopefully
Yes.
his Vader suit is made of a material where he can raise his arms that high.
I see.
Because he couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think so. I think what the biggest thing is when these two fight, because they will fight, and you can call me a moron, but it's gonna happen. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't come out in 2020 and say that we're gonna see the rematch of the century. Like, you don't just come out and tell me that they're gonna have a force fight. Like, they're gonna cross blades, and this just proves it to me. Like, I knew this was gonna happen a long time ago, but we are going to get the consequences of this fight. And it's going to mirror what happens in A New Hope, why the fighting style is the way it is. I think there's going to be stuff that happens to both Obi-Wan and Anakin / Vader, because they are the same person. Screw you, Char. That it's gonna make sense. This show is going to make sense continuity wise. If they didn't want to ruin continuity, this show wouldn't exist. There's so many open parts in the original trilogy that can be pointed at. Oh, well, this isn't the first time that they've met since Revenge of the Sith. I mean, It's true. Because, I mean, the biggest one to me is Return of the Jedi. Obi-Wan, what slot did you do? But show me where that's seen in the entire saga. He never thought that.
And so what's funny is, like, you see the content I make where I explain like basic stuff in the sequels, and I used to do the same exact thing because people didn't like that Revenge of the Sith broke canon because it didn't show those scenes. And you're like, just because it didn't show them doesn't mean they didn't happen.
Yes.
Like, just because it doesn't, your head canon is this, it didn't break anything but your personal head canon, and that's okay.
Yeah,
you know, just let it go. Just let this wash over you. Enjoy it, and we'll discuss it afterwards.
Oh man, I can just tell you right now, like, I can't wait for the reactions.
Is about to be a menace,
dude. This is my fucking Joker, and I don't give a damn. All right, like, I am like when this was announced, I was like, fuck yes, we're getting this, because Obi-Wan is a big factor into me growing up, and so is Anakin. So it's like I get to see these two things, and we get to see the prequel actors get some fucking love, you know? Like, they get another chance with Deborah Chow, who has done great directing in both Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 that she did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have so much hope and so much, like, I am excited for the show because of what I think the possibilities could be.
Yeah. It's the older that I get, like, it's weird because, like, and it's so weird to feel this way, but I really feel like people my age, like fans my age, are kind of becoming like the keepers of like the experiences in a way. It's like we're becoming like elders in a way because we remember all this. Like, I remember when there were no prequels. The Phantom Menace came out when I was 9, but I remember when it was only the OG trilogy, and that's all we had, and I loved it. And I loved the Phantom Menace. I mean, I was the perfect age when the Phantom Menace came out.
Oh, yeah,
I was the perfect age. And then when I loved Attack of the Clones, but I've never revealed this. I've never revealed my descent into evil. No, I'm joking. No, when Revenge of the Sith came out, I was 15, so I was an asshole because every 15-year-old is an asshole. And I remember hating it, like, you know. And to be fair, I wasn't online like when I was an early teen all that much. Like, the internet was a very different place.
Yeah,
but
there was no online. No.
Yeah, right. Like, there really wasn't that. Like, if you had the internet, it was still kind of like, ooh, you have the internet. You know, it wasn't something that was in everybody's house. Yeah. but like I remember not liking it and being like, this is stupid, bleh, you know. And now granted, I never told anyone they were dumb for liking it, and I never argued with people. Like I was just like, no, this is bad, and like, and that was it, you know. But I never, and I kind of stepped away from the fandom for a couple of years. It wasn't until, I mean, I guess for a full decade in a way, it wasn't until The Force Awakens was announced that I really kind of went back in and I started I mean, I grew to like the Revenge of the Sith, and I love Revenge of the Sith now. And I grew to really, really like appreciate the prequels as an adult. Like I really loved them when I was a kid, but like I grew to appreciate them so much as an adult. But but there was a point in my life where I was one of those people that was like, yeah, like I guess the prequels aren't good or whatever. And now I'm like, shut up, you're an asshole because you're 15 and you're an asshole. Like, God, I was such a little shithead. I was like, I don't even like Star Wars anymore. I'm watching anime now. Like I was like, wow, I was so cool. Like I was so cool, you guys. But I always say this, like, and that's why, like, when like when people do all the sequel hate, and they're like, the only thing that I get really cagey about with people is when the youngins who grew up with the prequels are like, you know, the sequels get so much more hate than the prequels, and I want to grab them by their little dumb throats and be like, you are an idiot and you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Like, you do not, like, your mom's calling you for dinner, Gary. Like, you shut the fuck up. Like, no one, you do not know. You do not know because you just watched these and liked them by yourself in your living room. Like, this was not how they were received. Like, the fandom ruined Jake Lloyd's life. It ruined Ahmed Best's life. Hayden Christensen left the industry. The fact that he's even doing the Kenobi show, you should be going to church every fucking day that he's doing this. Like, because he does not, if he was like, no, fuck this, I'd be like, yeah, that's totally fair.
I get that. I get
totally fair. The fact that he's coming back is a miracle. And I totally understand why other actors don't like. This is such a tangent. I'm sorry. I do understand why some
pop
actors...
off, Eggy. Pop off. Pop off.
I've already popped. I've already exploded. But I do understand why some actors do kind of hold the Star Wars fan, like the Star Wars that they did it like at an arm's length. I get it because Natalie Portman is kind of like that. Like she's like, that's a project I did and I'm happy I did it, but like here's this other stuff I'm doing. You know, Adam Driver's like that, you know, oh, I'm happy I did it. Here's this other stuff I'm doing, because the fandom is so fickle and it is so combative. And the fact that there are some people that don't want to be defined by this, I totally understand. But I'm so happy they're coming back, and I can't believe this show's happening. I can't believe it's happening. I'm so excited to see what we're gonna get, because I love Hayden and Ewan so much. I love the prequels so much, and I'm so excited.
That is a good way to end this episode. Thank you guys for all coming on. Eggy, we'll start with you since you were on the tangent. Where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
Well, first I want to ask if Max has anything else to add. Do you have any thoughts you want to add about Kenobi, Max?
Man, I just can't wait. That's, I mean, straight up. I mean, I grew up with very much like, I think I might be a little bit younger than some of you guys, but like I grew up with the prequels too, and you know, I had to go through, like what you were saying, a lot of like the hate that the prequels got, and you know, just being turned off by so many people hating it and stuff like that. And it's just nice to see like kind of like the turnaround where we're all just like, oh, that stuff wasn't so bad, and there's like more of us who actually like the prequels than the loudmouths who are just like, oh, you suck, you know, Hayden sucked, you know, and all that stuff. So man, it's a good time. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan, point blank. Just it's a good time.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that you got your piece in, because I was like, I think I've been shouting for 6 minutes.
No,
anyway.
Well said.
But yeah, I'm Ms.Eggy. You can find me on TikTok at Ms.Eggy, and Ms.Eggy28 on Twitter. And yeah, guys, I'm so excited for the show. I can't wait. I can't wait for Brotherhood to coming out later this year.
later that
And
month. Well, it comes out here
yeah.
in the next 3 weeks.
It's going to be such great prepping for the Kenobi show because you're going to like see them like at their
Yes.
peak relationship and then like at like their not so peak relationship.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm so excited to see to read that. But thanks so much for having me on, guys. This was such a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Max, it was so nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, anytime, have me back anytime. And Brandon, so
Oh,
good to
yeah.
see you after so long.
Yeah.
We did a podcast together yesterday.
I feel like we need to go to Choco then next after that one. Where can the good people follow you?
Yeah, Darth Choco on TikTok, Darth.Choco on Instagram, Darth Choco 7 on Twitter, Darth Choco on YouTube, and have the High Ground podcast, which my headphone just unplugged itself, so y'all can hear me, but I can't hear anything. But yeah, High Ground podcast goes live Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, and Dyad in the Force with Element 7, who is in the chat right now. So, and it is a great show. This is also a great show. Thank you so much for having me. You will also see me defending the title belt on the Podwans Trivia Tournament Extravaganza. And I'm not even going to be able to plug this back in. God damn it. Yeah, this is just it's super fun. This is like you said, this is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. We're getting so much content and amazing content, and we're getting it in different facets. We're not waiting years between films anymore, and we're getting some real. It's Star Wars inspired this current generation of creators in the film industry, and those people are now getting to come back and work on Star Wars with love. I can't wait to see what happens when, Ewan McGregor was already an actor. He was already talented. So having George Lucas just yell, louder and more intense, faster, like that, those types of notes that don't help humans. Like if you've gone through the acting training, you can work around it. Not everyone had that. So sorry, Jake. But I can't wait to see what these more seasoned versions of these actors can do with an
actual director. Actor's director.
Director. No, there's no shade to George Lucas. He's one of the greatest universe builders of all times. But the people, not so much with the people. I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to hang out with all of you guys at Star Wars Celebration. Hopefully you'll be coming there too, Max, and hopefully you'll be making an appearance on the high ground soon. Anyways, thank you.
Max, where can the good people follow you?
So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can follow me at PMPs_den. You guys can see it. Like I think you can see like the name right here.
Yep, so and I've got it down at the bottom as well. So
okay, cool. Yeah, so that's my TikTok, my Instagram, and my Twitter. I'm probably on Instagram the most and TikTok. So if you guys want to interact with me, that's the best. And then you can find me on my YouTube channel, PMP's Den of Antiquities, where I do a podcast called the Star Wars Perspective Podcast, where I bring on just every Star Wars fan from across the galaxy and just have them tell their unique Star Wars story. I also do like reviews and breakdowns, funny skits, and I have a 3D printing business, so I do a lot of like Star Wars 3D prints and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in that, come check me out, and I'll leave it at this. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm super excited to meet all you guys because like the whole purpose of me kind of doing this is a selfish reason. Not this podcast, just being in Star Wars in general. Open. It's because I want more Star Wars fans, man. Like that's like it's never enough. I want to have more friends just to nerd out with. So thank you guys for having me on, and
that's
I can't wait
wholesome.
to come back on.
It's not selfish at all. It's wholesome.
No, yeah, absolutely. Char, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
Good people, you can find me on TikTok at CharCharJ, as seen right here, and you can find me here at the Podwans podcast every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, as we are covering our Clone Wars rewatch, and you will see more of Luke and I throughout the week with our Podwans trivia tournament. Be ready for those episodes coming in the near future.
Yep. You can follow us at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, and Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter. The next match might be coming sooner than expected, but keep to the social medias for all of those updates.
I'd say you're here sooner than expected.
Yes. So we got winner of Kier and Bucky. That was the first match. The second match was Element defeating Xanatos 1138. So the next match you will be seeing is R2D2 versus Star Wars Lawyer. And that will be the next match. Winner of that will take on the winner of Element and Gareth. And then we will also see Bucky versus the 1 seed Brooke B. Dazzler.
Ooh.
But until
when are these trivia? When is that airing? You probably said it. I'm sorry.
Harith is editing as we speak each match, so it's kind of hit or miss.
Okay, got it.
But we keep your eyes locked on all of our social medias.
Mhm.
We'll let you all know. But that's gonna be it for the episode. For life.
We are all the Republic.
And may the Force with you.
Always. Look, you're lagging really bad, but see you guys.